Hello, class. Your professor here, and welcome to week three's assignments. You are already in week three. I'm simply coming in here and giving a nice little video of just going over what the assignments are this week and making sure everyone is crystal clear on what we want to focus on and get to this week. So I am already here in the week three folder of Blackboard, as you can see on your screen. So let us go with the objectives this week. One, we're going to utilize basic Bible study skills in the study of OT narrative lit, demonstrating an understanding of the genre of narrative, especially its literary features and use of the poetics. Discuss theological and interpretive issues stemming from OT narrative lit. Okay, so those are the main core objectives that we're going to get into this week through the reading and assignments. Now, for the reading, as usual, you've got your reading report that you must complete by Monday night, but to do the assignments, you've got to have the reading done. So hopefully you guys are completing that far before Monday, really by Friday, so that you can start the discussion boards. I understand many of you will not get there, but that's the goal in order to do the discussions and to get the assignments going well. So you see, it's not that many pages, although you are getting into numerous separate pieces of reading. So again, the ones that say Lesson 3 resource folder, those are not textbooks. Those are most likely PDFs that are here in the resource folder, as you see at the bottom there. Okay, so Bible reading, just there. All right, we're not exhaustively having you read the Bible. We simply want to have you read sections of it that are going to highlight those areas that we want you to glean some skills and wisdom from. Fun little media clip here by Tim Keller that we want you to watch on YouTube called Getting Out, and hopefully you'll enjoy that, and your discussion board will be on that. So make sure you are watching that before your discussion. Otherwise, spoiler alert, your discussion is going to be quite terrible, and we will mark you down for that. So, optional reading literally means optional, so don't feel like you have to read that. It's simply there as an extra resource for you. All right, now you've got two assignments. Neither of them are due this week. So we're here in week three, but the story analysis, assignment 3.1, is going to be due week 4. And then assignment 3.2, the Ruth analysis, is going to be due week 6. Now, if you pop over to the syllabus and scroll down to the assignments, you'll see obviously legal analysis is that first assignment. The genealogical one was last week's, week 2. And now assignment 3 is 3.1, 3.2, and it's broken into two really big, well, not really big, but two sections. It's one assignment. The story analysis is going to be the foundation for this Ruth analysis, if that makes sense. But they are due at different times. So this story analysis will be due week 4. So at the end of next week, you'll be turning that in. And then at the end of week 6, you will have this Ruth analysis due. So let me explain both of those so that you're crystal clear. Then we'll touch base about them again during the week that they are due. But first and foremost, in this story analysis, you're going to examine literary techniques in the Old Testament that the authors use in writing that are discussed in the RHB reading this week. Using each of the literary characteristics outlined in the chapter, read and analyze Judges 16, 1 to 22. So that's going to be your text, Judges 16, 1 to 22. Then you will identify and discuss various aspects of plot, characterization, time flow, point of view, etc. Hopefully we'll make that quite clear of where you make those observations and identify and discuss them. There is a key document or documents for this assignment, and you're going to see in the Lesson 3 resource folder that there is the Narrative Analysis Guide 1, and then you're going to also see the Story Analysis Worksheet. All right, so those are two resources that are in the Lesson 3 resource folder in week 3. Sorry, I'm really tired, guys. I can't imagine any of you are tired already this week. So go back into the Lesson 3 resource folder, click on that for me, and you will see there is the Narrative Analysis Guide and the Story Analysis Worksheet. That Narrative Analysis Guide, when you click on that and open that up, looks like this, okay? It's a little worksheet, and it says Steps for Evaluating Old Testament Narrative. It tells you where we have kind of gleaned that from, and then it gives you kind of some steps to go through in this, okay? So it's going to start with determining the plot, then you're going to determine the pace or time flow and these various elements to it, and then finally you're going to determine how characters are developed. Finally, you'll have a section on identify character types, and then finally observe the point of view and its changes, okay? So that is the Narrative Analysis Guide. You'll have the Story Analysis worksheet, and in that you're going to use this worksheet to complete your analysis of Judges 16. So this is essentially the worksheet that you're turning in, all right? Be sure to complete each section of this assignment, including as much detail as possible. The left columns correspond with the categories described in this week's reading, as well as the Narrative Analysis Guide 1. So again, you're going to see these sections here on the left corresponding with that Narrative Analysis Guide. It's suggested that students work in conjunction with these resources. Use the right column to fill in your answers. So again, background information, you're going to use this column here. The green filled text is meant to help students understand the requirements of this assignment. These boxes can be left as they are for full marks on the assignment, meaning what? So here we give you an example of what a conclusion would look like, okay? You don't need to add anything to this. We're giving you kind of an idea of what a conclusion would look like. You're building up to this, though, right? In this section of plot, you will have to give the background info, details, scenic structure, crisis resolution, but we just gave you the answer for the conclusion. Does that make sense? Then you obviously have to do this section on pace and character development, but then this part of actions, we're giving you what that looks like, so that you're getting some of these details. Hopefully you would know what they were anyway, but just kind of a summary, both to see kind of the amount of content and the specifics, the flow, how it looks. I tend to think that it just helps you get a gauge on what filling in a solid worksheet looks like. Okay. So that's the Story Analysis Worksheet, and that's assignment 3.1, all right? And with that, I'll talk a little bit next week about the grading of that assignment, but for now, just get that going. Make sure you don't start it next week. We assign it this week because we want you to start it this week, because you're going to have more work to do next week. All right. So that's the story analysis. Now let's go back to that syllabus and assignment 3.2, which is the Ruth analysis assignment. Okay. So I'm going to skim through this because, again, this is not due for a couple weeks, but I do want to just run through it so you guys feel like you are understanding what's going on, okay? So in weeks 3 through 5, you'll be learning about features of Old Testament narrative that will help you become a better reader, interpreter, and teacher of the text. These 3 lessons are complementary and should be understood as contributing pieces to one's larger lesson on understanding Hebrew narrative, okay? In this assignment, you will have the opportunity to put all of your skills to work while doing analysis on an entire book of the Bible, which is Ruth. Ruth, my friends, is a fantastic book for more than one reason, but it's often studied in Bible school and seminaries because it covers so many key elements of Old Testament narrative, and it's in a nice, concise, and manageable book where you can do the entire book as a single study relatively easily, and it picks up on so many rich things, and it utilizes so many skills when you do a study on Ruth. So hopefully you'll be really excited about the fact that you're going to be able to do a study on an entire book of the Old Testament, get a really good grasp on that. Ruth has some amazing themes that are obviously key for all of understanding the Old Testament. But yeah, so let me jump into what you're going to be doing exactly. Using the skills learned, I'm reading here in weeks 3 through 5, analyze the book of Ruth as in-depth as possible. Read and reread the book and search every literary feature being put to use by the author. It is advised that students use the provided narrative analysis guides to ensure they address every aspect of Old Testament narrative covered in the Dutcher-Wells reading. All right, so obviously the Dutcher-Wells reading is going to be a major element of your study here on Ruth, and make sure you see the narrative analysis guide to help you in that, okay? And that, again, is going to be in your resource folder. This study may begin with you compiling pages of notes and your observations in the text. Again, that's optional. You should submit a minimum 6-page double-spaced paper as a literary analysis of the book of Ruth. Okay? So this is going to be a major paper for this course. This paper should include the following sections. Note which week each section is to be completed. So the idea is that we're going to have you not necessarily doing this all in 1 week, but you're going to work on these in separate weeks. So the introduction, again, describes what we're looking for in the intro and about how long, about a half page. Then the features of the story, this is what we're focusing on here in week 3. So you're going to do, by the way, the intro doesn't give you which week to do it. Go ahead and do the introduction and the features of the story of the book of Ruth here in week 3, okay? So you're doing the intro and the features of the story here in week 3, and that's going to be about a half a page on the intro and 1 to 2 pages on the story piece. Then in week 4, you should be working on the interests in the book of Ruth. That's another 1 to 2 pages. And then the historical and cultural features will be week 5, again 1 to 2 pages. And then reflection will be another 1 to 2. And these are the things that you're going to be doing on that. I'll touch base on this again in coming weeks. Again, it's due at the end of week 6. And it'll be wise for you to begin working on this as early as possible, like week 3, for instance, which is right now. Again, you've got this Ruth analysis outline document in the course resources folder. So if you go up to course resources, that's there. You can find it in there, okay? And I think that was the main thing I wanted to point out. With that, it's also strongly encouraged, by the way, that you utilize the optional Berlin reading on poetics in the book of Ruth. So again, that's not mandated reading, which means to get full marks on your reading, you don't need to do that. But we gave that optional reading to you really so that you can utilize it. You can skim through it and use elements of that that's really going to help you for this Ruth assignment. Okay? And so you're welcome for that. Enjoy that. And that's basically it here on week 3. Your discussion board, I only have, this is a 15-minute max recording. So on your discussion board, I'm just going to briefly encourage you to read this. This is on the Tim Keller YouTube clip. And simply interact with it on that. We'll post again later this week, this weekend, about how you guys are doing. But essentially, watch the YouTube clip, and then just be careful to when you do your post to go off of these things that we are asking you to do. And you guys will be great. It's been a pleasure to interact with you guys so far, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.